Global Entrepreneurship Week this week, and Yaron Assabi and Corne Botha are with us in the studio. Gysbert Kappers is visiting our Cape Town studio to talk about some of the issues around entrepreneurship in South Africa. Yaron, let's start with you. We have these weeks for all sorts of things. Yesterday was International Man's Day and International Toilet Day, for example. And you wonder what happens on these days that's going to make it different. Global Entrepreneurship Week, it's one of those things we all know it's a good thing. Does a week like this make any difference?
I think so. One of the entrepreneurial issues is that you're so focused on your business, you don't have time to network and learn from other entrepreneurs. So I think any kind of event that will drive networking, share knowledge, 70% of entrepreneurs in South Africa fail in the first year of their business. So, you know, the more information they can tap into, the more networking there is, I think the better it is.
Corne?
Absolutely. I think if you look at one of the big challenges within South Africa, within the entrepreneurial space, is that entrepreneurship is not seen as a viable career option. So, and I mean, globally, I think that's a very similar type of thing. I mean, people are still looking at becoming a lawyer or a doctor. So a week like Global Entrepreneurship Week really encourages people, young people, to really step up to say, you know what, there's more than just, you know, following a corporate dream. It's really about, you know, establishing your own corporate empire.
Gysbert, let's bring you in. You're sitting in our Cape Town offices. You've heard the comments that we have got from Yaron as well as Corne with regards to networking, entrepreneurship not being a very viable option, or people viewing it as not viable. Your thoughts on this?
Look, I have to agree with Yaron. I think that a focus on entrepreneurship is definitely necessary in South Africa, particularly in our space. I think I have to also agree that unfortunately today many people choose not to go the entrepreneurial route and choose to go into a corporate environment, and it is a global trend, unfortunately. I read a statistic recently that between the 30 to 35-year-old space in Europe, entrepreneurship is not on their radar screen. So I think a focus on it is necessary, and to Yaron's point, it really allows people to network. It allows you to speak to industry experts, perhaps open channels that you hadn't considered before. Entrepreneurship isn't for the faint-hearted. It's tough, but if you get it right, it's an unbelievably rewarding experience.
Yaron, we've had a couple of conversations in the studio, as it happens in the last week, the difference between a contractor or a freelancer, someone who sells his services, and someone who's actually building a business. Now, where do we sit, and what's your experience of this? Where do we sit where you're not going to create jobs if you just act as a contractor? You have to employ people to build a business and therefore create jobs.
Absolutely. I think some of the new jobs that are coming with the evolution of technology have never been defined before. So you could never go to school or go to university to get the right qualifications for these jobs. So you have a lot of niche contractors and specialized skills, and I think they're very necessary. At the same time, entrepreneurs in South Africa create about 62% of the jobs. So it's very, very important to create entrepreneurs that can create jobs. It's very difficult to manage people, and I think a lot of people don't feel that it's for them, and therefore they prefer to just contract and use their specialized skills to be able to earn a living. But we need to encourage more entrepreneurship in South Africa and in Africa to be able to create more jobs, because we have such a high unemployment, and entrepreneurs create more jobs than corporates, actually.
In fact, big corporates shed jobs.
Exactly.
They shrink.
Exactly. And at that point, often what happens when there's a huge retrenchment, let's say, at a big mobile network operator, as there were recently in the last couple of weeks, you know, those people who spent a lot of time in a corporate job now all of a sudden are forced to become entrepreneurs, and they're looking at their specialized skills and they need to create a business. So I think it would be a lot better for the economy if we had to encourage entrepreneurship, if we had to support entrepreneurs, and I think we're not doing enough. I think the government's not doing enough. I think in India and Philippines and other emerging economies, there's a lot more work that's being done to help entrepreneurs grow, support them. There's some great initiatives in South Africa, and we've had some unbelievably successful entrepreneurs like Mark Shuttleworth, and Dimension Data as a corporate has you know, gone global, and we really have unbelievable entrepreneurial spirits, but not enough support for entrepreneurs from that perspective.
Corne, what would you like to see more of being done?
I think it's about giving back. I think, so we spoke about contractors, etc., but I think also corporate South Africa also needs to start giving back and start incubating, so to speak, smaller businesses. One of the main challenges, I think, is also around the fact that a lot of the small businesses don't have those skills, you know, adding to what Yaron was saying. So corporate South Africa really needs to step up and say, you know what, we will help you. We'll give you assistance with understanding what marketing is about, etc. Because if they start understanding those skills, the smaller businesses will find those new niche opportunities as well, and find new and start creating new job lines within South Africa.
Gysbert, I want to throw a stone into the conversation from a slightly different angle, and I'm thinking of what Yanni Mouton of PSG said, talking about supporting people who've got good business ideas and so on. He said, I don't want to support ideas, I want to support a business that's already running. It may be very small, it may be in the very early stages, but we need to see that it can work. And the other aspect, a couple of the older black entrepreneurs have said, it's tough out there, you've got to go and do it yourself. And maybe in a strange way, people are expecting other people to help them, whereas actually they've got to get out there and really take it themselves.
Yeah, to add to that point, I mean, I think that, you know, if you're going to go down the entrepreneurial route for whatever your business choice or your chosen path is going to be, you have to be exceptionally passionate about what you're doing and about the journey you're about to undertake. You know, I'm not sure if I quite agree with the statement from Yanni Mouton. I think there are guys that are coming up with great ideas all the time. One thing which is very clear is if you look at the more established developed markets like the United States and Canada specifically, they've done a great deal of work in terms of creating an ecosystem whereby universities are entrenched with venture capitalists and government in order to promote entrepreneurship, so to make the barriers less aggressive to climb. And I think where you're finding these kind of ecosystems working very well, entrepreneurship is really flourishing. I think I agree with Yaron and with Corne. I don't think enough is being done in South Africa from a government perspective. Not that one can expect it, but the bureaucracy and everything involved with trying to get some kind of assistance from parastatals is almost impossible. And to Yaron's very earlier point around networking, you know, you've got to surround yourself with an extremely strong network, whether that be through finance requirements or through assistance in terms of doing cash flows and doing projections about what you're doing, and to understand the competitive landscape you might be getting involved in. The one thing also is that I have to add is that I think as South Africans we're quite bad at celebrating the guys that have done exceptionally well. You know, to that point, Mark Shuttleworth was mentioned, but you have a look at what Elon Musk has done, you have a look at what his cousins are doing with Solar City in the United States, but also in South Africa. We've got some really, really successful entrepreneurs, and we should actually be celebrating that much more publicly, you know, to show people that it is possible and that you can have an unbelievably good time creating one's own business.
Well, that's three experts on entrepreneurship. Yaron Assabi, who's the founder of Digital Solutions Group, Corne Botha, head of marketing at Raizcorp, and Gysbert Kappers in Cape Town. He's the chief executive at Wyzetalk.